Today I'm going to replace my condensation pump on my AC system. Now, normally people realize these go bad when they've got a flooded basement. Maybe it's a clogged line. I actually just recently had a valve replaced inside my unit, and my pump will either kick on and stay on the entire time, or it'll be shut off and won't come on, and I realize there's a little switch inside there that's faulty. So I'm going to replace that pump. But before I do it, I also noticed that I had some scum in the bottom of my tray, and my lines aren't that clean, so I'm going to clean them out with bleach. So first thing I'm going to do with anything is shut off the power, unplug my condensation pump from the 110 outlet, make sure that all power is off to my units before I even start getting into them. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off this access panel, and we're going to get started. So this is the valve that we had replaced, and you can see this tray down in here. This is where the condensation goes. It's quite nasty. It's got big chunks of things and whatnot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe this out initially with a paper towel and get as many of the chunks as I can out. And then I'm going to pour bleach that will go down in through my pipes, and I'll show you how we're going to do that in just a second. But first I'm going to take my handy dandy roll of paper towels and do a little cleaning in this. And that's the kind of stuff that eventually clogs up your lines. I should have been pouring bleach in here last couple years, and I've neglected to do it. If you have a wet dry vac handy, that's also a good way to kind of suck up some of this debris. I don't have mine with me right now. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull my old condensate pump up out of the way. I'm going to pop this line off and put it into this bucket. So as I pour bleach into the tray, it'll go into this bucket, because that old pump, it's not pumping anymore. I just want it to be contained in this bucket. Old pump up out of the way. I am going to take this line, leave it over here, put this line back in. So now I'm going to dump bleach into the tray, and actually I want it to kind of stay in the tray for a little bit. So this has got a gravity feed going downhill. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tilt this up a little bit, so that when I put the bleach in here, it's going to sit in here for a minute before I let it go down through. And it's going to kind of pour some of this in there until there's enough that it's actually got enough to sitting in there and eating away at some of this. So the bleach is pouring out into the bucket, going through the line. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some paper towels again and clean out this trough. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of lift this up so that it's not gravity feeding out. I'm going to pull my pipe out, because there's a P-trap in there, so it's going to hold a little bit of that bleach in there. So I'm going to kind of get that to where it's not going to come out just anywhere. All right, put that in the bucket. Then what I'm going to do is bring my bucket out so I can pop this hose off here and then let it drain into the bucket. Now this is my old pump that I'm going to be removing. So now what I'm going to do, and I have the electrical off, I'm going to remove the wire nuts and the wires from the safety switch. Now the safety switch, what the safety switch does is if your pump ever quits working, it tells your air conditioner to shut off. Now I've got two of them. It'll tell this one to shut off, but it won't tell that one to shut off. So if this one's going and the pump's not working, I may still have flooding. So you do always have to keep an eye on this area and make sure it's not getting wet. Okay, so I've got a yellow and a white wire that came off of that, and then just two black wires that came out of the pump here. It really doesn't matter which one you put it to, it's whether the circuit's complete or interrupted. Okay, so the new pump is here. So on this old pump, I think I had one set in here and then one set in the front. So I'm going to pop out the two little caps that are in there. Just they pop out and put the one in, the one I'm not going to use unless I'm putting bleach in it later on. I'm going to do my wire here. Okay, and then we got my little blue wires. It says safety switch, connect to class 2 low voltage circuit not to exceed 30 volts. And I believe those are 18 volts is what those are set up as on the actual furnace. I'm going to strip these wires so that I have enough to put onto the wire nuts. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is put my pump in place, okay, where I think it's going to go. All right, so I'm going to hook up this hose on the way back so that I have that connected. Then I'm going to kind of place this back where the other pump was originally, or pretty close to it. I'm going to put the line into the pump first. Then I'm going to kind of move it around to bring it into connection with the AC unit. I kind of straighten it out here. Then the next piece I'm going to put in is the line off of this air conditioner. And basically what I'm going to do with this one is once I'm done showing you how I did this, cleaning it out with the bleach, then I'm going to do this one separately off camera, but nonetheless do the same thing. But I do want to make sure that I have this lined up so that it will go in correctly, and it will. Okay, so now that I've got that connected, then my next piece is to plug in the pump. And the good news is it didn't turn on, because it shouldn't, because there's no water in there just yet. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to fill up a jug of water. I'm going to pour it into my open port and make sure that it kicks on once it gets to a certain level of fullness. And I may have to get some extra water in there, because sometimes it takes it holds quite a bit before it kicks on. And these pumps actually work quite fast. They will pump out a lot of water in a pretty short order. These reservoirs actually hold quite a bit of water, so it was more than I thought before it actually kicked on. So once it does kick on, though, it goes very rapidly and gets rid of that water. So basically we've got this all cleaned out now. I'm going to put all of this back together, and then I'm going to do the same thing as far as cleaning on this other unit to make sure these pipes are clean, make sure the tray is clean in there. This is a newer unit, but I haven't been into it, so I'm going to see if that's dirty, but we'll do it the exact same way we did this one. Remember, doing things yourself allows you to be free.